In this lesson, we will discuss the communication system. The communication system provides for external communications via very high frequency, VHF, high frequency, HF, and satellite communications, SATCOM radios, internal communications using the interphone systems, and passenger address, PA system. Oral and visual calls, notification, communication with ground stations via the Airline Operational Control, AOC, and recording of all oral flight deck communications by the cockpit voice recorder, CVR. The aircraft is equipped with 3 VHF radios, which are accessed through radio management panels located on the center pedestal. Each VHF radio has a dedicated VHF antenna. VHF 1 and VHF 2 are used exclusively for voice communications. VHF 3 is normally dedicated to the Airline Operational Control for data link communications. However, it can also be used as an additional radio for voice communications if necessary. 2 HF transceivers used for long-distance voice transmissions share a single antenna. On the ground, HF communication is automatically inhibited unless the ground HF data link push button on the overhead is selected to override. HF channels operate in amplitude modulation, AM mode, or single sideband, SSB mode. The flight crew can select the amplitude modulation or single sideband mode via the HF page on any radio management panel, RMP. In the case of simultaneous voice and data transmission, voice communication takes priority over data. Simultaneous reception is possible when the HF channel is not transmitting. 3 RMPs located on the flight deck are used for tuning the VHF, HF, SATCOM, setting a transponder squawk code, and for standby radio navigation. If one RMP fails, one of the other RMPs can be used as a backup. The RMPs share active and standby frequencies, SATCOM channels and status, and active function displays. RMP 1 and 2 are directly connected to the VHF and HF transceivers. RMP 1 transmits commands to VHF 1, VHF 3, and HF 1. RMP 2 transmits commands to VHF 2. RMP 3 transmits commands to RMP 1 or 2, which in turn sends the commands to the appropriate transceivers. All 3 RMPs are directly connected to the SATCOM system. If a connection or RMP fails, communication automatically reconfigures to ensure continued communication control. The brightness off knob controls the RMP power and brightness. A status indicator next to the brightness off knob indicates the RMP status. Blank indicates the RMP is on. Green indicates the RMP is selected off, but it is available. Red indicates the RMP has failed. Selecting the VHF, HF, telephone, squawk, menu, and nav keys displays the respective pages on the RMP. The activation dial-in keys, ADKs, and line select keys are used to validate or activate the corresponding display. The radio selected for transmission is illuminated in green. Only one transmission mode can be active at a time. The loudspeaker symbol indicates that the radio is selected for reception. The message clear key is used to clear RMP messages. When a call is received, the call, attendant, or mechanic button illuminates in amber. Reception knobs, when pressed and released in the out position, turn on the reception mode. A light on the knob illuminates to indicate that it has been selected. Volume is adjusted by rotating the reception knobs. More than one reception knob can be selected at one time. The numerical keypad is used to enter numerical values, with the decimal and leading 1 automatically entered. For example, frequencies, phone numbers, and squawk codes are entered with the keypad. The clear key erases the last digit, or, if held, it erases the entire entry field and displays the last valid entry. The scroll keys are used to select items from a list, such as SATCOM phone numbers. Holding the up or down arrow key displays the first or last item in the list. The interphone radio push-to-talk switch has 3 positions on the RMP. In the neutral position, the interphone radio push-to-talk switch is off. In the interphone position, the boom set or oxygen mask are active and remain active until deselected. When the interphone radio switch is pressed and held down in the radio position, the boom set or oxygen mask microphone is active. The green load key light illuminates when a VHF or HF controller pilot data link communications CPDLC frequency is received in the mailbox. Once the frequency is received in the mailbox, the frequency can be loaded by line selecting either VHF or HF and pressing the load key. The radio navigation selector is used for listening to a navaid. The voice key removes the audio identification signal from the navaid audio signal. Navigation radios are normally auto-tuned by the Flight Management System, FMS. Raising the guard and selecting the radio navigation key illuminates the green light indicating that standby radio navigation tuning is active. VOR and LS receivers are now controlled using the RMP standby radio navigation page rather than the Flight Management System. The navigation page is used to tune navaids following a failure of Flight Management System 1 and 2. The navigation page is only available on RMP 1 and 2. If RMP 1 or 2 fails, the captain or first officer can use RMP 3 to recover control of the communication system. When the failed RMP is turned off, RMP 3 automatically connects to the VHF and HF transceivers directly. The affected crew member can control communication using RMP 3. The memo section of the warning display can display several communication-related messages. The messages are inhibited during critical phases of flight, such as takeoff and landing. Examples of these messages include Captain or First Officer loudspeaker low, Captain or First Officer loudspeaker off, Captain and or First Officer on RMP 3, Company data link not available, Ground HF data link override, HF voice, RMP 1, 2, and or 3 off, telephone emergency ATC or company call, VHF data link manual scan, VHF voice, and video in use. The RMP displays a message when a selection is not appropriate or complete, a connection has failed, or the voice or data mode is not available. RMP messages may display on one or more RMP simultaneously. If several messages are displayed without being cleared, the active messages are stored in a frequency not complete, VHF 1, 2, or 3, or HF1 frequency not valid, VHF 1, 2, or 3, or HF1, or telephone 1 or 2, reception not selected, VHF 1, 2, or 3, or HF1 standby reverted to previous entry, HF1 voice mode not available, log off to modify SATCOM settings, manual dialing not allowed, no more list items, no number dialed, SATCOM configuration or setting page not available, SATCOM log on, fail, telephone 1 or 2 connection, fail, telephone 1 or 2 not connected, telephone 1 or 2 reverted to previous entry, telephone 1 or 2 still connected, and use manual scan to modify provider.